I figure it's more humiliating for me not to say anything to somebody, or to talk to something somewhere, than it is for me to say almost anything that comes in my head in in the spur of the moment, that I'm gonna just babble on and overly personalize myself to the public in a public demonstration that I'm still breathing somehow, and I'm sober and I'm trying to cope. And I'd rather not be, believe me. I'd rather be wasted. I'd rather be stoned or drunk. Totally fucked. But I won't do it. Just like I won't do a lot of things. Basically, I'm wrestling with myself all the friggin' time. You know, living alone with my child, with my son. He's still young enough. I can't really, you know, I'm not interacting or communicating too much of my own personal feelings. Definitely pent up. But I got a lot of feelings, and sometimes it's like a lightning bolt where you frickin' you want to go crazy. It's too much anger, too much frustration, too much blood pumping. But you cope. You figure out you're not going to be the next Hitler. You're not going to be, you know, the next little guy, the little Hitler guy, or the little Jesus guy, or the little this or the little that. And you balance. Now, if I'm suffering from bipolar or some kind of mental, diagnosis, well, according to the person that had the authority to evaluate me for the last sessions that we went through, I've had a 7-year relationship, over 7 years knowing this person. Basically, this is a social disease I'm going through. It's a social disorder. It's something to do with being alone and isolated, more or less as an adult, with the proper stressors in one's life. I'm not here to complain and bitch and moan, as much as I am saying, it's okay to evaluate yourself and have. And I was reading, like not to go off topic, but flipping through. I had the opportunity to flip through an Oprah magazine. I think it was probably at a public library somewhere, and waiting for my son to get off his computer game while he was on the computer at the library. And basically, the Oprah article said something like, I remember distinctly reading, she said in quotations in big print, outside the art, highlighted in the article, that being alone is the new heroin. And I was thinking to myself, Jesus, how frigged up are we, man? But it's just, what I mean? It's like, if you're alone, you're going to be considered by the Oprah people, the people who found the millions and millions of people who believe they're functional and healthy and well, and that if you're alone too much, you're probably, equivalent to being on heroin. There's something wrong with you. It's a disorder. Or so, let's go cheer her up. Let's go cheer him up. Let's go cheer them up. You're not functional anymore. You need a pill. You need to go on a diet. You need to do, all this Oprah life. Well, I got nothing against Oprah. I believe Oprah, Sally Jesse Raphael, people like her, came around at a time when American society, more ways, culture, there was gender roles assigned, and if you didn't act that way, you were probably going to be in the middle, in some closet somewhere, screwed up, because you weren't going to be accepted by either gender if you were off base with, like a rigid set of conformed, behavior and conduct and manner. And, Montel Williams and Sally Jesse Raphael, Oprah, I know in my lifetime, they made a big change for, what was defined as masculinity, femininity, and everything in between, for a cultural, sociological, evolution, to what could be possible. and acceptable, and diversity and all that stuff. So, not putting Oprah down, but I am saying the issue of being alone is like, it's scary to be viewed or considered, that being alone time, it could be equivalent to a heroin, like an addiction, like a dope. Michael Stipe from REM years ago, I read in someplace. It doesn't matter where I read it, but I remember him as a source. I think it was a time that the Man on the Moon movie came out with the Andy Kaufman story. Them years, and I remember him saying, that the same effect that being alone. There's nothing wrong with being alone. To what degree are we supposed to, kind of? I'm paraphrasing, but all of a sudden, being alone was being viewed as something else, something wrong, and I'm still in the old school in the head that I'm thinking years ago, I don't feel good being alone. I don't think I'm supposed to either. You know what I mean? I just don't think I'm supposed to. So here I am talking to myself. I'm looking at the computer, looking at me, looking at you, looking at me, like a prisoner, self-made. And I'm like, I hope 2010 is going to be where I have the courage. I have the courage to move out of Utica. That's what I hope. I hope I have the courage. I'm afraid. I'm a scared guy that I'm going to be more of a anonymous, dysfunctional person if I go outside of my home turf. What's familiar to me, and how I can access roadways, and how I drive. I know where I'm going in this town. I grew up here and spent decades over, off and on, between leaving, attempts to leave, and as I have in the past, I left from 18 years old. I've been trying to get out of Utica and not come back, but here I keep coming back. It's scary, it's like I'm freaking connected, like a magnet. I'm stuck that I'm only going to see one thing really happen, and that's going to be the day that I don't make it out of Utica. Because I'll probably be one, cremated. I'm not even going to have the opportunity to get a headstone. But the long story short is, I believe there's so much more in the world that I got to go do, what I got to see, but I don't know how the hell to get to it. I don't want to rant with the blood pumping through my veins in the fit of, not accepting my current status and who I am, my lot in life, and I try real hard to write that emotion out. I try to write it out with some kind of a gesture that I'm communicating still inside. Don't shut off the life support to me. Don't shut me down. Don't cut off my lifeline, as the song goes, because I'm still alive. There's still life behind these eyes. I'm not. So I write, or I play the songs I'm trying to come up with, and horribly I'm playing the guitar and the bass. And the long story short is that I have my moments of passion. I'm sitting here with jealousy, anger, envy, lust, greed. I want to eat everything I see when I make it. I cook food. I gotta eat my kid's portion half the time, because he doesn't eat what I eat, and then I gotta end up throwing it away half the time. I eat it. So